So, how do you know if software is going to be something you're going to enjoy? So, you're considering a move into software, and you don't know if it's the right choice. Um, how do you know you're going to love it? How do you know you're going to like it? How do you know you're not going to hate it? Are the things that are probably going through your mind. And let me talk about how I got into software and how I knew it was something I wanted to do. So I got out of the Army, and when I got out of the Army, I tried an industry and a job that I wasn't a good fit for, and it didn't work out. And so then I was like lost and directionless, didn't know what I was going to do, and stumbled upon someone who was training veterans in software. And I really did not think that it was going to be a thing for me. I thought I'll try to do this as a plan B, as my backup, while my plan A is to find work in, probably management or construction. I had a construction management degree, so I was like, probably construction, right? I'll be like, something in construction. And so, I had like a part-time job, I think maybe 2 part-time jobs that I was also doing. And then evenings and whatever free time I could cobble together, I was working on this self-paced, self-taught online course. And, the first section was like 20 hours. And I started it and found it very intriguing. And you know what? There are things I enjoy about software today that were not true of my experience doing that first 20 hours, or even my whole, I think it was like 500-hour course, right? So the things I love about software today are getting into flow state, building something that people will enjoy using, taking data and doing something with it, building something complex, learning new things. Having a design in my head for how the software is going to be built and how it's going to work, and then seeing it come to life. Those are things I love about software today. When I first started, that first 20 hours, my experience was much different, because everything was brand new. There were so many unknowns. I didn't know what I was doing. What I found, what made me think that maybe this could be a career for me, was that I was intrigued by the problem. I was like, okay, I need to figure out how to do this, and I had some introductory material to read, and then you have to figure out how to do it. That's how Free Code Camp is structured, which is what I went through. And there were frustrations. And there are still frustrations today. But what I found to be the case was that I wanted to figure it out. And when I figured it out, there was an emotional reward. When you figure something out, for me, it makes me feel good. And there's like this moment of joy, very, very low level joy. But you're like, yay. And so then I wanted to do the next one, and I'd struggle with it, and then eventually figure it out, and another little reward, and it made me want to try the next thing. And if that's your experience, then I think that is a strong indicator that you are going to enjoy being in software. I didn't love software until I'd been doing it paid for a year plus. That's when I started to love software. Before that, it was like, I have to figure this out so that I can keep this job, or I have to figure this out so I can get this job. But if you find yourself, like I said, wanting to figure out the thing you're working on, and then once you figure it out, want to figure out the next thing, then that is, to me, an indicator that it could be a really good fit for you. So, maybe I'll just touch on software is a huge industry with a lot of different career paths you can take inside software. So how do you decide? And I'm a front end focused engineer, and I do some back end work but it's also in Node, which is JavaScript. So you use JavaScript on the front end. So it really, I know JavaScript, and that allows me to work on the front end and the back end. So how do you pick what you're going to do? Well, maybe it makes sense to just touch on some of the bigger areas you can go into. So there's web development, and that breaks down into front-end development, which is the code that runs in the browser, and back-end development, which is the code that runs on the server. You could do mobile development, so like iOS and Android apps, and even within iOS or within mobile development, you can do like language that compiles down to both. So you're writing one code base, and that would be something like nativescript or flutter. Not nativescript. I hate nativescript. Don't use nativescript. It sucks. React Native. That's what I meant. But all three of those are examples of code that compiles down to native apps. Or you could go like iOS development or Android development. Not too many people do both. I don't think. So web, mobile. You could do like AI, machine learning, and I don't know a whole lot about it, but I think that would be like a back-end language. So Python, I think, is like the big AI language. But you could go back-end focused on AI instead of back-end focused on web, if you see what I mean. There's game development, security, DevOps, database. These are all paths you can take. And so, how do you decide out of that wide ecosystem, what you're gonna like? And, if it were me doing it again, I didn't understand the difference between all of those different paths when I was first starting out. In fact, I barely understood what the internet is. I still barely understand what the internet is. But if I was doing it again, I would watch a bunch of YouTube videos about those different areas. And then once I picked like maybe, I think I like these three, I would spend 20 hours doing a training program from the very beginning on each one. And then that would help me decide where I was going to pick to go into. 20 hours. It's a golden time frame to like give it a shot, give it a test run. 20 hours. Bye.